The global economy is hanging by a thread. In the heart of the Strait of Hormuz, 3 commercial vessels have just been struck by unidentified projectiles, sending shockwaves through the world's most vital energy corridor. As 20% of the global oil supply sits in the crosshairs, the tension between Washington and Tehran has reached a point of no return. President Trump claims to have destroyed Iranian mine-laying vessels, while Iran issues a chilling ultimatum. The strait will either be a path of peace for all or a graveyard for warmongers. Today, we decode the battle for the world's most dangerous choke point. Subscribe and activate the notification bell so you don't miss any global news.
3 commercial ships have been hit by unidentified projectiles near the Strait of Hormuz. That's according to the UK Maritime Trade Operations Centre, which monitors activity in the waterway. The strait is a major international shipping route for oil and gas. Iran's Revolutionary Guard closed it shortly after the war began. Israel and the US are also bombing targets in the strait. Iranian officials have blamed the security situation on the US. About 20% of global oil supplies are transported through the waterway. Well, meanwhile, the U.S. Central Command's released images of what President Trump says are 16 Iranian vessels that the U.S. military destroyed near the Strait of Hormuz. He says they were planning to lay mines. Trump has warned of grave consequences if Iran continues to block the strait. And now, last week, President Trump said the U.S. Navy would soon begin escorting tankers. However, the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, General Dan Kane, has revealed there are no plans to do so yet.
If tasked to escort, we'll look at the range of options to set the military conditions to be able to do that. And then, like we always do with every potential mission, come to the Secretary and the President with both what are the resources required, what is the command and control required, and what are the risks, and how do we mitigate those risks. So we're looking at a range of options there, and we'll figure out how to solve problems as they come to us.
And we're going to have correspondents following developments in Tehran and Doha and Washington, D.C. First, we're going to go to Zain Basravi, who's here in Doha for us. So let's talk about these incidents with the commercial ships in the Strait of Hormuz. Zain, what more can you tell us about the maritime security situation right now?
Well, we know since this morning there have been at least 3 separate attacks in close succession around the same place, just off the coast of the UAE and Oman, Ras Al Khaimah, in the UAE, just off the coast of those areas in the Strait of Hormuz. All 3 vessels, 1 container ship, 1 cargo ship, and a bulk carrier. And what that is those large vessels that carry unpacked dry goods like grain or coal. All of them came under some kind of attack from what they describe as an unknown projectile, an unknown explosive projectile. On the cargo vessel, it caused a fire. Now, the crews are all safe, boats were evacuated, investigations are underway, but what we know is that it's all happened around the same time and around the same place. Exactly what took place is unclear, but it comes after warnings by the United States that Iran might use mines, naval mines, to make the Strait of Hormuz difficult or impossible to navigate. In the same breath, they said there's no evidence of it, but attacks were launched on vessels in or around the area, Iranian vessels, they say, that could be used for such a purpose. Now, Iran in the past has said that if it is attacked, it will use the Strait of Hormuz, an economic corridor that is incredibly important to the global economy on a daily basis, really, that it will use that as a pressure point. It will choke it, and as long as it can't use it, as long as it is under attack, it will make sure that the region suffers, that this strait is blocked. It will use it as a pressure point. So that is something we are seeing. The longer this carries on, the risk to maritime traffic in the Strait of Hormuz simply continues.
Zain Basravi in Doha, thank you very much indeed. We're going to go to Rosalind Jordan, who's in Washington, D.C. for us. So the U.S. president is saying the U.S. has hit Iranian mine-laying ships, but he's also saying there are apparently no reports of mines actually in the Strait of Hormuz. What's going on?
Well, that would seem to comport with what CENTCOM has posted on social media, some video which it says shows U.S. military forces destroying those 16 Iranian mine-laying vessels, but it does not go into any details about whether those mine-laying vessels had actually deposited any mines anywhere on the seabed in and around the Strait of Hormuz. That would be a real threat to both military and commercial ship traffic through the strait. And that is an allegation which the U.S. has made many times before against why it needs to check Iran, as it were, saying that because of Iran's ability to control traffic in and out of the strait, it also has the ability to threaten that maritime traffic. And so this seems to be just another layer to the ongoing conflict between the U.S. and Iran.
Rosalind Jordan in Washington, D.C. Ros, thanks very much. We're going to go to Tohid Asadi. He's joining us now from Tehran. OK, we've been talking about the situation in the Strait of Hormuz. What are Iranian officials saying about the attacks there?
We actually hear different messages from different Iranian officials, and the gist of the matter is that these messages are on the basis of deterrence and defiance. We've got the IRGC Navy commander in a very recent written statement on that. He came out to say that we announced from the very beginning of these confrontations, and of course we announced again that any vessel associated with the aggressors of Iran has no right to pass through the Strait of Hormuz. And he continued to say that if you have doubts, come closer and try. Of course, this is not the only message. We've got Ali Larijani, the Supreme National Security Council Secretary, in another message published on his X account in 5 different languages. He came out with the same strong tone to say that Strait of Hormuz will be either a strait of peace and prosperity for all, or will be a strait of defeat and suffering for warmongers. And of course, we've got Mohammad Bagher Ghalibaf, the Speaker of the Parliament of the country, again in a similar message of warning to say that an oil tanker crossed the Strait of Hormuz escorted by a U.S. ship, maybe on PlayStation. This is the message. These are the messages that basically we are hearing from the Iranian side, and we have to keep in mind that even before the initiation of these confrontations, the Iranian side warned against the possibility of using the Strait of Hormuz as a leverage, seeing the strategically significant role of this choke point. Now they're trying to employ this leverage in this already complicated situation, and this is obviously part and parcel of the rhetoric that we have already heard from the country. They said that in case of a U.S. attack on Iran, ahead of these attacks, of course, there is a possibility for a regional confrontation, and the confrontation could be actually extended to include the Strait of Hormuz. And this is critically important, seeing the role of this place when it comes to the energy market, when it comes to the commercial aspects, and of course the very sensitive situation, seeing the military build up by the Americans in the region. This is all in all a complicated situation, as I mentioned earlier, and Iran is trying to use this strategic leverage in order to deal with the challenges that it has been facing.